Dzień dobry, good day. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. So I am Jasmine Salanga and I am an Erasmus Plus student from the University of Santo Tomas in the Philippines. And I will be giving a glimpse of my paper entitled What's New? An Exploration of Innovative Approaches to Digital News Media in the Philippines. So the environment of news media production has rapidly evolved to a developing and evolving phase, particularly in the contemporary digital age. So we all know that social media platforms have become a route to news media production to reach a greater audience as a result of the rise of the internet during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the public then seeks to adapt new trends and fads where innovations come in. So the media has always played an important role in informing the public about issues such as health, safety, and others. So news production can be defined as the process of transforming events through systematic criteria that can be published in the media, and it is where news workers or journalists are engaged in production of written, visual or audio text designated as news and information that appears in print media, in broadcast media, and also in the internet. So because of the digital age, social media platforms became a channel for news media production to reach a larger audience. So according to the Statista Research Department, Facebook accounted for approximately 81% of the Philippines' social media industry as of July 2021. It was mentioned that the pandemic had probed this percentage of users, and the world is in the age of digital technology, and we can still say that change is constant. So as Karl Marx influenced innovation theorist Joseph Schumpeter, he highlighted that innovation develops new combinations of existing knowledge and resources, opening up possibilities for new economic prospects and future innovations to adapt to change. So for innovation projects, openness to new ideas and solution is deemed vital. So Tanja Storswell and Arne Krumskiv found that Francis and Besant's 4 P's of innovation, which is product, position, paradigmatic, and process innovation, are developed for comprehending innovation in economic entities. So when we say product innovation, it refers to changes in an organization's products or services. When we say process innovation, it refers to changes in how the products or services are created and delivered. When we say position innovation, it refers to change in how products or services are positioned or framed within specific contexts, and paradigmatic innovation refers to changes in an organization's mindset, values, and business models. So Storswell and Krumsvik, on the other hand, considered social innovation to be the 5th category when conceptualizing media innovation. So Mulgan stated that social innovation addresses social needs and improves people's lives. So for my paper, I had respondents, and the participants who took part in this study came from a variety of backgrounds in terms of their professions. So I was able to interview a film director, a segment producer, a chef, a teacher, a seminarian, and others. So according to Vicky Eckert, a useful framework for guiding creative endeavors is listening to consumers and turning those customers into inventive collaborators. So she endeavors to listen, or she added that the effect of listening with empathy and emotional intelligence is that it will have the ability to not just primarily satisfy what a consumer wants, but also truly fulfill them, which typically makes the difference as to whether or not that customer finally acquires the service. So Stephen Johnson also emphasized that providing people with incentives not only the way to foster creativity. Rather, it is also important to create situations in which people's ideas may connect with one another. So the findings of this study when it comes to content, this is already tagged as the process and social innovation. The most common complaint is that the content is being reported repeatedly. The respondent film director stated that the function of media should not only serve as a literal watchdog, but also an agent of change. So the respondent proposed shifting the material to constructive journalism, which journalism is really constructive, but according to her, it responds to the new media's increasing tabloidization, sensationalism, and negative bias today. So it is a method of providing the it is the method of providing audience with a balanced, a truthful, and contextualized picture of the world without exaggerating the negative or what is wrong. According to her response, the media should empower the people. She gave an example. For example, when a fire was discovered, the facts supplied would automatically answer the 5 Ws. And for her, her constructive journalism, on the other hand, proposes telling a tale. Like, for example, a dog rescuing her owner or a young person helping the victims, because the 5 Ws will certainly be highlighted in the report. So the conversation should also be simplified, according to one respondent, and that everyone may understand. So this is another innovative approach to the topic to avoid misinterpretation of the news. And in this age of fake news, instructor or a teacher suggested that the media should begin writing in Tagalog or the dialect of the Philippines for the general public to understand. So particularly for those who struggle to acquire comprehension in English. So a barangay official, who was also one of my respondents, agreed that he knows that his neighbors do not read or listen to respectable media because first and foremost, they do not understand what is being published. Rather, vloggers in Facebook and YouTube has been their approach to perceive their so-called news. So vloggers in the Philippines are considered to be already dominating social media since their style of communication is their own dialect, which is far more believed by people than what the media reports. Going to visuals, this is tagged already for the paradigmatic innovation. According to Hollingsworth, people like pictures since it helps them to make connections, and visual helps us understand not just the message, but also behind the message. So it was claimed that pictures could captivate the audience and assist to better absorb the information. So a common piece of advice was to use 3D moving graphics or maybe mapping when presenting news or visually telling a story. So another novel idea is to have, for example, during the pandemic, the anchors already had worked from home. So if it continues, the idea is to have the anchors have a nice or visual work from home, especially during the pandemic. And respondents suggested that the anchors should create a mini studio around their home where the background will appear professional or to convey and feel that they are still in the newsroom. Next, for the workforce, we say this can be the position innovation. Millennials and Gen Zs should also serve as anchors. So according to the respondents, younger generations are more active, and they do have awareness of current situation and and they do understand the changing times. So some vintage anchors questioning style could still be adhered to traditional technique. And the respondent defined that traditional questioning, it could be a circumstance in which the anchor should stay fixed, or the fixed questions rather than being critical thinkers in broadening the questions or deepening on their answers. Another reply was news media should restructure their news organization. So they should mix experts in the newsroom. So those who know the economy aspect, trends, Tagalog news writing, those from the church, guest coordination, public relations. So there must be a fixed coordination or a mixed experts in the room. So respondents expressed concern that there could be journalists that may not comprehend the broader context of a certain field or organization. Next, our respondents, I should say, had suggested some segments that could be done in social media platforms. So first, what does the general public want? So one respondent suggested that the news media should include a segment focusing on hearing and observing changes from the ordinary people. So usually experts are being interviewed, but being able to listen to the ordinary people, they would be able to give insight and those. So by conducting interviews with these, the purpose of the project is to respond to a citizen's plea to reform or to improve a certain society issue. Next is an exhibition of local products from the Philippines. Mahalin ang sariling atin, which in English it means love our own. So the respondent mentioned that local products in the Philippines are already being neglected despite their desire to be exposed to the rest of the world through telling the stories about the legends associated with a particular location or legend. So he began by establishing a path for both consumers and producers that would lead to economic growth. At this point, the media should step in because of the vital role that it could play in connecting with the people in the Philippines and in the whole world. Another is a fact-checking segment. So fake news is dominating and the internet has entered this era. So the response from the production from a respondent advises that specific issues with fake news should be addressed by conducting interviews with those involved in the dissemination of fake news regarding this particular issue. So, for example, people during the pandemic, people thought that bananas were cure for COVID, and then what happened next? A lot of Filipinos fled to the market to buy bananas, and that we can say that is already a fake news. Okay, because I think this fact-checking segment could help us understand which is true and which is not. We also have BIR pronouncement, so it is the Bureau of Internal Revenue in the Philippines. So one respondent suggested having a segment to provide updates on the BIR pronouncement on a weekly basis. So even though tax professionals are often up to date on the latest issuance from the BIR, other CPAs in public practice, particularly external auditors, also require the updates and typically rely on tax team's update or considerable study for its interpretations. Next, just familiar to what the general public wants, we have interviewing the voiceless. So our respondent recommended breaking up detailed interviews into multiple parts. Both of them suggested doing the interviews with regular individuals rather than those who hold positions in authority. So it is necessary to listen to their perspective and take into consideration in order to provide objective reporting. And the last segment that respondents had suggested is from the Administrative Office of the Department of Education. It is confirmed that the young people do make significant strides in the field of research, in the field of science and the arts. So it is important that their contribution, their invention and findings be regarded as section in order to provide empowerment and assistance. So to end, adapting to technological developments and other inclinations after the pandemic happened, as well as familiarizing consumers' behaviors, are innovations that can lead to significant advances and empowerment, particularly in news media production. So customers in turn, or consumers, news consumers, have an important role, of course, in being innovation partners in order to keep and sustain their devotion to the news media that has been realized through the years. So, Jinkuye, thank you and a pleasant afternoon to all.